This morning, in Holozivsky district of Kyiv, a colonel of security service of Ukraine was shot dead. I'll tell you all known about this high-profile murder in segment. I'm Solomia Vitvitska, and this is TSN. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch the broadcast, and be sure to comment on what you found most interesting. Here are a few of today's topics. Attack on Kyiv.
After the spinal surgery, they operated and she couldn't get down, and they hit. Blood was flowing, she said.
How the capital is recovering after yet another hellish night of Russian shelling. Flooding in Lviv region. Where near Lviv did the river overflow its banks, and what kind of havoc did it cause? Titanium hub.
If my help is needed, I don't mind. I just don't want to be dead weight.
What services are available at the new Veterans Hub in the capital? The capital survived a hellish night. The enemy struck the city with drones, ballistic, and cruise missiles. In Kyiv, 2 people were killed and 25 injured. In 8 districts of Kyiv, debris fell and fires broke out. Residential, medical, educational, commercial, and transport infrastructure were affected. Residential buildings, cars, warehouses, office, and non-residential buildings were on fire. In the Podilskyi district of the capital, 2 women were killed. A 65-year-old resident of the city and a 22-year-old police corporal, an employee of the Metro Police. The building of the primary health care center number 1 outpatient clinic was almost completely destroyed. TSN correspondent Alina Hushchuk visited the site of the attack.
We are currently working in the Podilskyi district of Kyiv. Since last night, it became known that both Shahids and ballistic missiles hit here. And now we can see the consequences. Right behind me, there is a destroyed building, a 5-story apartment block. We can see that the windows are shattered, there's no glass, and the frames are damaged. And right across from here, there's an identical building. Almost all the windows there are without glass too, some partially shattered, some completely blown out. What do we know? We know that last night there was an attack by Russian drones and ballistic missiles. 2 people were killed. We know that they were 2 women, one born in 1957 and the other in 1992.
A woman from my hometown died here. She had just had spinal surgery and she couldn't get down and they hit her. She was bleeding out, that's what she said. A young girl also died there. She was 22. She went down to the 3rd floor, then went back up to the 5th floor to get her passport. And that was it. And right away she...
We also know that there are 8 injured here, some of whom are now in the hospital with various injuries. These are fractures of both arms and legs, but preliminarily, their lives are not in danger.
Everyone is being helped. 8 stations have been set up. Many thanks to the volunteers. Many thanks to the Red Cross and various civic organizations of the city of Kyiv.
Right now, a headquarters has been set up here on site, and the national police are working. You can see tents like these behind me. The Red Cross is working here. People are being given cookies and tea. The national police are now documenting all the crimes committed by the Russians, so that later they can help residents with damages and support them in rebuilding their homes. Also, right behind me, there are volunteers handing out this kind of plastic sheeting, distributing water, and giving out wooden plywood so that residents can cover their windows themselves, you know, to protect themselves from the heat, rain, and everything else, just so at least the windows are covered with plywood. We also saw employees from the Podil District State Administration here, who are working on site as well, providing all necessary assistance to those affected and, of course, monitoring the health of the victims who are currently in the hospital. This was Alina Hushchuk, Timofey Koshchi, TSN 1+1.
TSN correspondents have also been working in other affected districts of the capital. Details from the Shevchenkivsky district from our Yulia Karyenko. Stay tuned, coming up in just a few minutes. The office of Channel 5 was damaged as a result of the massive air attack on Kyiv. This was reported by the broadcaster itself. All employees who were in the building during the night shift were unharmed. There is destruction in the studio. Part of the filming equipment has been destroyed and workspaces have been damaged. And even despite the aftermath of the attack, Channel 5 resumed operations, and our colleagues are now continuing their broadcast. Kyiv region is recovering from the overnight shelling. Regional authorities report that 1 person was injured and is in serious condition. Overall, the consequences of the attack were felt in 6 districts at once. In Brovary district, 24 private houses, outbuildings, and 10 cars were damaged. Most of the homes have shattered windows and doors and damaged roofs. In Vishhorod district, garages caught fire. In Fastiv and Borisville districts, 2 private houses were damaged in each, and more than 20 cars were damaged in Buchau district. Nearly 10 billion euros worth of agreements were signed at the conference on Ukraine's recovery. This is how President Zelensky summed up the results of the meeting in Rome. Against the backdrop of last night's massive attack, the head of state called on allies to make efforts to strengthen Ukraine's defense capabilities, particularly its air defense. It is already known that 4 billion euros in aid have been allocated to the Ukrainian budget. This was announced by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who also stated the creation of a European fund for Ukraine's recovery together with the EU, Italy, Germany, France, and Poland. The Chancellor of Germany stated that his country is ready to purchase Patriot air defense systems from the United States and transfer them to Ukraine. The United Kingdom is signing an agreement with Kyiv to supply 5,000 air defense missiles. Meanwhile, the United States has presented its vision for Ukraine's post-war reconstruction. Keith Kellogg named the preservation of Ukraine's sovereignty and a free market as its foundations. He also stated that Washington will demand the return of Ukrainian children abducted by the Russians. Washington is disappointed by the lack of progress in peacefully resolving Russia's war against Ukraine. This was stated by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio after meeting with the chief diplomat of the aggressor country. His conversation with Lavrov took place on the sidelines of the summit in Malaysia and lasted less than an hour. After the meeting, Rubio told the press, Moscow has proposed a new, different approach. The diplomat did not explain what it entails, only adding that he would present this position to Donald Trump. The U.S. Secretary of State also commented on possible new sanctions against Russia. He stated that the White House is consulting with the Senate on what exactly the document will be. Earlier, the media reported that Trump's main requirement for the sanctions bill is that the U.S. president should have the ability to unilaterally lift them if necessary. According to the press, under such conditions, Trump is ready to sign a draft law that would impose 500% tariffs on countries that purchase Russian oil. The United States has resumed arms supplies. High-precision missiles and 155mm shells are on their way to Ukraine. This was reported by the Associated Press agency. According to their information, at least 2 types of weapons are on the way. It is not exactly known when the shipments began, nor is there any information on whether the pause in the supply of Patriot missiles, which was also suspended, will continue. The day before, Donald Trump confirmed that his administration is considering the issue of providing Kyiv with another Patriot air defense missile system. If Washington makes such a decision, it will be the first time that Trump approves the delivery of new heavy weaponry to our country. Up until now, all the deliveries we have received were approved during President Biden's term. Peace talks without Russia. The leaders of Armenia and Azerbaijan met in the United Arab Emirates. Talks in various formats, both one-on-one between Nikol Pashinyan and Ilham Aliyev, as well as between their teams, lasted for about 4 hours. They discussed the points of contention, from what is preventing the signing of a peace agreement between the countries, to the opening of a connection between Azerbaijan and its exclave Nakhchivan through Armenian territory. Interestingly, the negotiations between Yerevan and Baku took place without Moscow's participation, even though it had acted as a mediator for years, and against the backdrop of escalating conflict between Azerbaijan and Russia. The normalization of relations between Yerevan and Baku is seen in the region as an opportunity to limit Russian influence in the South Caucasus. For the first time in history, the 3rd Assault Brigade's combat robots captured Russian occupiers. Our defenders attacked enemy fortifications with FPV drones and ground-based kamikaze robotic systems. And when another robot approached the destroyed dugout, the enemy announced their surrender. The surviving occupiers were led out to our lines like little birds and taken prisoner. After that, our defenders took control of the cleared fortifications and the forest belt. In the 3rd Assault Brigade, they emphasized that this is the first confirmed successful assault by unmanned platforms in modern history and in the current war. By the way, previously, ground robots had helped evacuate Ukrainian soldiers from the battlefield. For example, in May it became known that the 13th National Guard Brigade, Kartia, carried out a successful operation to evacuate a wounded soldier using a ground robotic platform. This refers to a Ukrainian logistics robot called Targon that was modified to serve as an evacuation vehicle. Has the future already arrived? What do you think about how technology is changing warfare so much? Share your thoughts in the comments below this broadcast on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Meanwhile, I'll continue with the TSN broadcast. And we're returning to the capital, which went through a hellish night due to a massive Russian attack, from which, as we've already mentioned, 2 people were killed and 25 were injured. 8 districts of Kyiv felt the consequences of the attack. Our Yulia Kiriyenko visited one of them, Shevchenkivsky district. She spoke with rescuers and local residents.
Kyiv has once again endured another attack by Russian drones and missiles. The main strike hit the Shevchenkivsky district of the city. Lukyanivka in the city center was affected. Residential buildings. Right now, we can see what one of the 5-story buildings looks like, where debris from a Russian drone fell. The building is partially destroyed. We can see that the upper floors suffered the most. At the moment, efforts to eliminate the consequences are underway here. We can see that the apartment on the 5th floor is destroyed. The roof is completely damaged. It was through the roof that the debris broke through, completely burning the apartment to the ground. Right now, they're clearing out what's left of this building. This is construction debris. Law enforcement and emergency services are working here. They were putting out the fire on the 5th floor, but the whole building got flooded.
Everywhere it's leaking. It's all leaking. Well, now it's draining away. I won't keep turning everything upside down anymore. There's no electricity, no heat. We're completely cut off.
This is probably one of the most damaged buildings in Kyiv as a result of yet another Russian strike. 2 people who lived on the 5th floor were injured here, a man and a woman. The woman has burns, according to the neighbors. The man is in more serious condition, and he is now in Oleksandrivka hospital.
There was a fire, which was later extinguished. Right now, debris is being cleared and damaged structures are being dismantled to make sure there are no more victims. And of course, to remove the damaged structures so they don't collapse further and pose a threat to people's lives and health.
The shopping center near Lukyanivka metro station, where we often see the aftermath of Russian attacks. As you can see, it is partially destroyed, the windows are shattered, and the grocery store inside is also currently closed. There, too, the windows and doors have been blown out, and workers are trying to clear away the broken glass.
After the strike,
So, we're gathering up whatever's left. There's no glass, it was all shattered. The whole ceiling, there's no ceiling either. That's how it is.
Will you make some coffee?
We will. Where else would we go? This is business in Ukraine. That's the only way we work. In Lukyanivka, fragments of a downed aerial target landed right above the tracks where trams run. Unfortunately, service is currently suspended. You can see the hole that formed here, not far from the tracks, and there is damage to the rails themselves. Yulia Kiriyenko, TSN 1+1.
and with that, I wrap up this TSN broadcast. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Hit the bell so you don't miss our live broadcasts every weekday. And now, here are the highlights of the day. The enemy struck the city with drones, ballistic, and cruise missiles. In Kyiv, 2 people were killed and more than 20 injured. Debris and fires were reported in 8 districts of Kyiv. Residential, medical, educational, commercial, and transport infrastructure were affected. Residential buildings, auto warehouses, office, and non-residential structures caught fire. In the Podilskyi district of the capital, 2 women died. A 65-year-old resident of the city and a 22-year-old police corporal, an employee of the Metro Police.
A young woman also died there. She was 22 years old. She went down to the 3rd floor, then went back up to the 5th floor to get her passport.
The president of Ukraine called the Russian attack on civilian targets in Kyiv pure terrorism. Volodymyr Zelensky believes that the massive attack last night is connected to the opening of the conference on the reconstruction of our country in Rome. The president asked allies to make efforts to strengthen Ukraine's defense capabilities, particularly air defense, and called on all partners to increase their investments in this sector. The United States has resumed arms deliveries. High-precision missiles and 155mm shells are on their way to Ukraine. According to the Associated Press agency, at least 2 types of weapons are en route. Also, the day before, Donald Trump confirmed that his administration is considering the possibility of providing Kyiv with another Patriot air defense missile system. A high-profile murder in the capital. In the morning, in the Holosivsky district of Kyiv, a colonel of the Security Service of Ukraine was shot dead. Around 9 in the morning, the killer was waiting for his victim near the building, approached, and fired 5 aimed shots with a pistol, after which he fled the scene. The victim of the attack was Ivan Vornik, a Special Forces officer from Alpha. People were being rescued from flooded homes in the Lviv region. Rivers near the regional center overflowed their banks. Due to heavy rains that didn't stop all night, the water level in the reservoirs rose sharply. The Zubra River, which flows through the village right next to Lviv, flooded everything around so badly that the water reached the roofs of cars and up to people's waists.